Welcome to Things You Don't Know. In this episode, we're exploring the fascinating world of penguins, from their epic deep sea dives to the fight to save them. So buckle up because this episode will be cooler than an Antarctic breeze. Today, we will discover the fascinating world of penguins and the invaluable lessons they provide. The penguin episode will show us that penguins offer rich insights into sustainability and conservation, from the remarkable parenting skills that teach us about nurturing to their undeniable impact on our planet's ecosystem. Join us as we explore their incredible dance rituals reflecting social bonds and unity, while highlighting innovative conservation efforts that significantly preserve these captivating creatures. Embrace penguins' beauty and the vital roles in our world.
From their evolution to their quirky habits, we'll explore what makes these flightless birds unique. Plus, we'll have fun trivia to test your penguin knowledge. So grab a warm drink, get cozy, and let's waddle into the world of penguins. What will we learn today? Penguins are amazing swimmers. They're able to talk to each other with unique sounds and evolve from flying ancestors. While they're not afraid of humans, they definitely shouldn't be on the menu. They also have a pretty adorable love life. Most species are monogamous and stay with the same partner.
Yeah, believe it or not, penguins have evolved from flying ancestors around 60 million years ago. A couple of days. Their early relatives were more like seabirds that could fly and dive. But over time, as they adapted to life in the ocean, their wings transformed into flippers, making them expert swimmers rather than flyers. They're now part of the bird family Siphinicidae. They are found mostly in the southern hemisphere, from Antarctica to South America, Africa, Australia, and even the Galapagos Islands. That might surprise you. Most people think penguins only live in icy places, but they really do thrive in a variety of environments. Now, in the cold climates, emperor and Adelie penguins are built for Antarctica's harsh winters. In the more temperate regions, Magellanic penguins live along the coasts of Argentina and Chile. Even on warm beaches, African penguins call South African shores home. Tropical islands. The Galapagos penguin enjoys a warm, volcanic paradise. No matter where they live, all penguins rely on the ocean for food, hunting fish, squid, and krill with their powerful swimming skills. Penguins are really quite fascinating birds. One of the most surprising things is how resilient they are. Emperor penguins endure temperatures of minus 40 degrees Fahrenheit. That's pretty cold. While incubating their eggs, and African penguins can overheat in the sun, so they pant like dogs to cool down. Here's another interesting fact: penguins have knees. Yeah, knees. Their legs are just hidden under their feathers, making them look short and stubby. The legs are actually much longer than they look. If penguins could stand up straight, they'd be a whole lot taller. People think that all penguins mate for life, but that's not entirely true. while some species, like gentoo penguins, often return to the same partner. Others, like emperor penguins, usually find a new mate each breeding season. Since they lack natural land predators in many of their habitats, penguins are not afraid of humans. Perhaps they really should be. Anyhow, some species, like king penguins, are incredibly curious and will waddle right up to researchers.
That's amazing. All right, now it's time for a quick round of penguin trivia. See how many of these you can get right. How many species of penguins exist today? A, 8, B, 12, or C, 18? The answer is C. There are 18 recognized species of penguin. Which penguin is the smallest in the world? The rockhopper penguin, the little blue penguin, or the macaroni penguin? The answer to that is B. The little blue penguin, also known as the fairy penguin, is only about 12 inches, 30 centimeters tall. What is the fastest way penguins can move on land? A, waddling, or B, belly sliding? Please push A or B now. A little private joke there. The answer is B. Penguins use a move called tobogganing, where they slide on their bellies across the ice to get around. True or false? Penguins can drink seawater. Amazingly, the answer is true. They have special salt glands above their eyes that can filter out salt from seawater. Question 5. What do emperor penguin chicks do to stay warm? Stand in a huddle, flap their wings, jump up and down. The answer is A. Huddling, surprisingly, is key for survival, and penguins take turns being on the cold outside of the group and then moving to the warm inside.
I think it would be really cool if they did the jump up and down thing.
Yes, reminds me of Burgess Meredith in the old Batman television show.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Which famous penguin species has bright yellow feathers on its head? A, the Humboldt penguin, B, an emperor penguin, C, the macaroni penguin. The answer to that is C. The macaroni penguin has wild yellow crest feathers. It looks like it's ready for a party.
Indeed. Penguins also have a pretty interesting and some would say adorable love life. Most species are monogamous and stay with the same partner for life. However, they cannot breathe underwater. They are birds with lungs, not gills, so they need to come up for air. They are excellent divers and can hold their breath for several minutes while hunting for fish. Emperor penguins, for example, can stay underwater for more than 20 minutes.
Geez, Greg Louganis has nothing on them. Penguins are amazing divers. The depths they can reach depends on the species. Emperor penguins hold a record, diving over 500 meters, 1,640 feet deep. As we said, they can stay underwater for more than 20 minutes. King penguins can dive up to 300 meters, 980 feet. Other species like Gentoo, Adelaide, and chinstrap penguins usually dive between 30 to 150 meters. That's 100 to 500 feet for you Americans for food. Penguins have special adaptations like slowing their heart rate and storing oxygen in their muscles to help them dive so deep. Penguins have some interesting, often adorable mating rituals. Here's how it typically happens.
And as we said, penguins are mostly monogamous, with some species staying together for multiple breeding seasons. Males usually attract females through displays like calling, bowing, and head swinging. Some species, like the Adelie and Gentoo penguins, offer pebbles to their chosen mate as a gift. If the female accepts the pebble, they start building a nest together. To win over a mate, some penguins, like Gentoo and Adelie penguins, give their crush a pebble as a gift. Yeah, a rock proposal.
Deeper than a ring.
Yeah. After a little head bobbing and bowing, if the female accepts, they build a nest. Once they mate, the female lays an egg or two, depending on the species. And in some species, like emperor penguins, the male incubates the egg on his feet while the female goes hunting. It's interesting thing. They have their feet under the egg and then their body on top of that. That way they are insulated from sometimes very cold environments. Talk
Oh,
about being a dedicated dad.
absolutely. And once paired, they engage in courtship displays before the actual mating. The male mounts the female and balances on her back for a few seconds to transfer his sperm. Check out our sperm podcast. That might also be interesting. The female lays one or two eggs, depending on the species. In the emperor penguins, the male incubates the egg on his feet under a flap of skin while the female goes to sea to feed. Once the chick hatches, both parents take turns protecting and feeding it until it's strong enough to survive on its own. Penguins are very dedicated parents and go through a lot to ensure their chicks' survival. Both the mother and father, as we said, help feed their chicks. Here's how they do it. After hunting, the parents store partially digested fish, squid, or krill in their stomachs. When the chick is hungry, the parent vomits up food directly into the chick's mouth, kind of like a baby bird's formula. In emperor or king penguins, if the female is late returning from hunting, the male temporarily produces a very nutrient rich secretion that's called crop milk from its esophagus to feed the chick temporarily until mother returns. Penguin chicks depend on their parents for food for weeks or even months, depending on the species. Once they're big enough and their waterproof feathers grow in, they head to the ocean in a rite of passage to hunt on their own.
You know, you mentioned the digestion and vomiting up food for the penguin. Do you realize that that also happens in some human cultures, Dr. Deneen?
I had not. Thank you for bringing that to my attention, Dr. Weaver. How so?
Well, parents in some cultures will take the food into their mouths, masticate, chew, and whereas they don't swallow it and then vomit it back up, the saliva, as we've talked about in one of our other podcasts, starts the digestive process, and they will take the food that has been chewed and completely made soft and give it to the babies. It's sort of like homemade baby food, and it does truly happen.
That is very intriguing.
Yeah, penguin parents, you know, they do work hard to make sure their babies grow strong and survive in the wild. Some penguin species are on the endangered species list, while others are considered threatened or near threatened. Climate change, and I don't care how many people tell you it doesn't exist, it does. Habitat destruction, overfishing, and pollution are major threats to their survival. Some of the endangered or threatened penguins are the yellow eyed penguin. It's endangered, one of the rarest penguins. The Galapagos penguin, endangered because they're facing habitat loss and climate change. African penguin, they're endangered because people, overfish and because of oil spills and those kinds of things. Erect crested penguin, that's also endangered, as is a northern rockhopper penguin. At risk is the emperor penguin, primarily because of the melting sea ice, which is a real big problem. They need to, like we have said, even though they dive and they can stay underwater for 20 minutes, they got to come out of the water sometime. And they do that usually on floating ice called icebergs. And if they don't have it, guess what? They can drown. The other at risks are macaroni and the Humboldt penguins. Some species, like the Adelian and Gentoo penguins, have stable populations, but they face risks from climate change and human activities. Conservation efforts are crucial to protecting these amazing birds.
I'm so pleased to see that several organizations are working to protect penguins and their habitats. Here are some key ones: the International Union for the Conservation of Nature. They work globally to promote conservation efforts for endangered species and maintain the so-called red list of threatened species, which monitors penguin populations and their risk of extinction. The well-known World Wildlife Fund, which helps protect habitats in Antarctica and in the Southern Oceans, and works to reduce climate change, which, as Dr. Weber said, is a major threat to penguins. The Antarctic Treaty System and the Commission for the Conservation of Antarctic Marine Living Resources regulates fishing around Antarctica to protect the fish and the krill that the penguins eat. They enforce the Antarctic Treaty, which helps preserve Antarctica's ecosystem. The Galapagos Conservancy focuses on specifically saving the endangered Galapagos penguin by protecting its habitat and food supply. And the Southern African Foundation for the Conservation of Coastal Birds, whose work I had the chance to see in South Africa back in 2008, rehabilitates and rescues African penguins afflicted by habitat destruction, overfishing, and oil spills. Finally, there is the Australia-New Zealand organization, Oceana, which fights against overfishing to protect food sources and works to reduce ocean pollution in the Southern Hemisphere and climate change effect. These organizations, as we said, play a big role in keeping penguins safe, supporting their work through spreading awareness, donations, and volunteering can help save these beautiful and incredible birds.
Yes. These little tuxedoed birds may look cute and clumsy on land, but in the water, wow, they are absolute diving champions. Okay, so what happens when the chick hatches? That is interesting, actually. Penguin parents go all out to make sure their chicks survive. And how do they feed their babies? We said already, by regurgitating food. Penguins catch fish, squid, or krill and store it in their stomach. And when the chick is hungry, the parent literally vomits up the food straight into the baby's mouth. Yum, yum. Some species, like the emperor penguins, even produce a special nutrient rich secretion called crop milk when food is scarce. It's a tough world out there, but penguin parents are some of the most dedicated caregivers in the animal kingdom. But here's the sad part. We've already said some species are in serious danger. Out of the 18 penguin species, several are endangered, as we've already said, and are threatened due to climate change, habitat destruction, and overfishing. From deep sea dives to pebble proposals, penguins are truly some of the coolest birds on Earth. And we need to see that they're not lost to us. Everyone can help by donating, avoiding single use plastics, supporting sustainable seafood choices, and recycling plastic bottles and cans. So we've covered a pretty good amount of ground here. I want to encourage people to think about donating to those organizations we've mentioned. If you liked or loved today's episode, subscribe, share, and spread the word about this podcast and about the information we have shared. But until next time, stay curious and keep loving those penguins.
Couldn't agree more. We really enjoy doing these podcasts. It's a workout for our mind and an opportunity to explore things we might not think about that much otherwise. So your suggestions, your comments are very welcome, and they provide emotional and intellectual fuel for us. So take care, folks.
Bye for now.